right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Wahala. Oops. What happened? Okay. Okay. So, over the weekend, I, if you took the assessment test, let me see your hand. Okay. So about 4 responses. I think I got about 5 responses actually, but that's fine. The rest that did not take the test, do we have tangible reasons why we couldn't take the test? Okay. Then I gave us a task to do. I told us to create an account on W3 schools. And I also told us to take the 23, or was it 22 video lessons, quick introductory video lessons to HTML. How many of us did that? Okay, we have about 3 persons that did same. The rest did not do it. Okay, it's all good. But then if you did not do it, it's not a good thing, no, actually, because you are not helping matters. The reason why I keep releasing those course materials ahead of the week is just for you to prepare yourself efficiently. Because I wouldn't want a situation where I will be flowing and then you still be, trying to understand something that I already expect you to have an idea of. I used to say that it's very much easier for you to learn when you have an idea of something than when you don't even have an idea at all. Your assimilation level may not be to the point where you grasp or grab everything that I'm going to say, because once I start, I might be fast. So I require you to have prior knowledge. The reason why I drop those links is just for us to help ourselves. If we keep neglecting those links and not looking at them at least, then you are not helping me, neither are you helping yourself. I would really appreciate it so much if whenever I give us a task, we carry it out. It shows a degree of diligence, and I told you guys that software development is not like any other thing you are learning in this place or any other skill that is being learned here. It requires you to be very diligent and consistent, persistent, and you need to meet up with deadlines, and you need to perform tasks. It's not something you just learn and you go and be sleeping and stay without being active for the next 1 week, and you come back here, you want to learn again. It's not how it works. This thing is something that requires you to be practicing often. As long as coding is concerned, once you leave it, it has left you. It's not even a matter of 1 month. It doesn't need to reach 1 month. Just 1 week or a few days of not touching your hands on your system and doing 1 or 2 things. Your brain is very volatile. It's just like a random access memory. It's very volatile. It can easily forget things. So the more you practice, the more you are engaging yourself in those course materials and those studies, it's helping you to really cement what you are being taught. That is if actually what you came here for is to learn this skill. Because I believe that everybody have different objectives. But if your objective of coming for this class is for you to really learn it, then you have to do those assignments, do those tasks, take the test, and participate in everything you are asked to. That's the only way you can make progress. Are we together? Are we together? So I need you guys to promise me, if you people really want me to be happy, if I come to this class to teach, I need you guys to promise me that if I drop a link, a course material and I instruct you to review that link, be it a video, a PDF, or anything, ahead of the week, I need you guys to promise me that from today you are going to do it. Do you promise me to do that? I'll ask it again. Do you promise me that each time I drop a course material link, you are going to review it before the class commences? Do you promise that? Fine and good. All right, since you promise that, I'll not get angry today. I'll be okay, and I'll be fine, and I'll teach with a good heart. But then, please and please, just in case you are confused, don't blame me too much because you did not do your assignment. All right? But then, if the grace for me to really answer you detailedly is there, I will attend to your questions. But if the grace is not there, you'd have to go back and still do the needful. Are we together? Are we together? All right. So, now, one of the things during the virtual orientation week, I told us that there are technologies you use in software development, right? And I also gave us the course curriculum. I told us that the first week we are going to be looking at Git and GitHub. The second week we'll be looking at HTML and CSS. The third week we'll be looking at JavaScript. The fourth week we are going to be looking at Python, which is the language that we are going to be using for our back end. Now, from the fourth week, fifth week, and the sixth week, we'll be doing majorly Python. You'll be writing Python, okay? So, now, this is the second week, and we are going to be learning about HTML. So, it's going to be an interactive class. What is HTML? For those of us that did the assignment, I just need a quick answer. Okay. All right, hypertext markup language. So HTML stands for hypertext markup language, and it is the language that the web browser understands. All right, it is a language that is used for writing web pages. It is a language that is used for writing web pages. Okay. Remember, I told us we are going to be building web application. What that thing means is an application that is web-based. It is going to be rendered with your web browsers, such as your Chrome, your Safari, and all the rest. So it's a web application. Now, HTML is one of the technologies that you need to learn as a software development. Whether you are going to be a desktop developer, Android developer, iOS developer, web developer, you must learn HTML because that's even the fundamental block of websites and also softwares, actually. Something like your MS Word. Now, that MS Word is also written in a language that is very close to HTML, but it's called XML. It's a different version of markup language, all right? That is why it's able to display all those things you are looking at. So, I'll have to start. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it is the language that you use for writing web pages. All right? It basically comes in forms of tags. It has opening tags and closing tags. That's how HTML is. Now, I want to ask a question. Most of the websites that you visited, both with your phone and with your systems, what are majorly the things that you see there? What kind of things do you see there on those websites? Okay, you see an image, all right? What else do you see? Table, right? You see a table. What else do you see? Links. You see links. What else do you see? Forms, right? You see forms. What else do you see? Tables. Someone has mentioned tables. So you discover that basically these are the things you see in a normal website, right? You see forms, you see tables, you see images, you see text, you see links. You also see videos and audios, right? Those ones are media files, right? So those are some of the things that you see in a web page. So today's class, we are fundamentally going to be exploring most of the HTML tags, most of the basic HTML tags that you will be needing to work on your project or to build your websites and web applications. All right? So before we start, the first thing we are going to do is, or the first thing I'll have to do is, I'll go to my GitHub and create a repository, and I'll name it HTML Basics. I'll clone it down to my local PC, and I'll start working from there. Now, as a software developer, that is the flow that you must take. You don't just work projects locally on your PC. It is advisable that once you are building, you are committing and pushing to your GitHub repository, so that just in case your system for any reason crashes, you can always have access to that code. Are we together? Now you see the very basic reason why you learn Git first. All right. All right, I'll be creating a new repository, and I will call it HTML Basics. I'm making it a private, public repository, and I'll just create the repository. All right. I've basically created the repository. All right, I'll have to clone it. So these are processes you're already familiar with. All right, so I have succeeded in cloning this repository. I have HTML-basics. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'll open my VS Code. Now, Visual Studio Code is a text editor that helps you to easily write your codes, okay? It supports varieties of programming languages: JavaScript, Python, Java, C, C++, C#. So it's more like a very good asset for writing both your HTML and basically most of the things you want to code or whatever. All right, so we are going to be using Visual Studio Code. Now, the first thing I'll do is I will go into that GitHub repository that I just cloned down into my local PC. I will access it from my Visual Studio Code. I'll click on File. I'll go to Open a folder. All right, I will go up a bit. I cloned HTML Basics. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. All right, so this is it. This is the folder here, HTML Basics. All right. Let me make this a bit bold. All right, so basically, this is the folder. It's just an empty folder. There is nothing inside of it. All right. Okay, so now I'll press Ctrl tilde on my keyboard to be able to open up this terminal. All right. The tilde I'm talking about is the key that is before the 1 on your keyboard. Before your 1, 2, 3, before that 1, there is a key that has a something, this sign, yeah, tilde. That sign there. That sign, that's what opens up my terminal. All right. Now, the reason why I opened up this terminal, I want to show us that this is actually, okay, you can see, I'm in HTML basics, okay? Exactly. I'm going to change my terminal from what it is right now. I'll change it to Git bash. Okay. Okay, so I don't have this particular terminal. I'll just change it to Git bash. All right. Fine. The reason why I'm changing it to Git bash is because Git bash helps me to write most of those Unix commands that we learned, right? All the ls, touch, and all the rest, because you'll be really needing them. Okay. Now I'm going to do ls-a. I did ls-a. You can see that I have a dot, and .git. This .git, what does it imply? What does it signify? That we are in a Git repository, right? Exactly. So let me just close back this terminal. We are going to be creating our first HTML file, and we are going to call it index.html or index.html. Okay, so I'll do that. I'll create an index.html. Nice. Now, having created an index.html, because of this extension .html, it automatically tells your computer that this is a web file. Are we together? Are we together? So once I give it an extension of .html, your browser will automatically understand that this is a web file. So it's expecting HTML tags. That's what it's expecting. All right? Nice. So we'll have to go ahead. The very first HTML tag you are going to learn is called the doc type. All right? And it's written this way, doc type HTML. And now, mind you, the version of HTML we are using is HTML5. HTML5. All right? Before now, we have other versions of HTML. We had HTML4, we had XHTML. So currently, we are learning HTML5. That's the latest HTML version. All right? So that's what we are learning. So this is the very first tag you are going to be learning in your journey to HTML. That is doc type HTML. All right? And now what this thing simply does is that it's telling you that this document type is HTML. That's the meaning of that doc type. Doc type HTML. All right? So having written that, the next tag you must learn is the root tag, which is the HTML itself. All right? Which is the HTML itself. So this opening and closing HTML tags is the root tag. That is the very first tag besides that doc type. All right? Now, your web pages, if you look at a typical web page, let's look at one. Let's look at a typical web page. Fine. Now, you can see that this is my GitHub, right? This is my GitHub, right? Cool. So, I just want to point out a couple of things here. You can see this stuff now. First of all, if you look at this place, This place where I put my mouse. You may not really see it. Okay, but it's actually showing me that this is github.com. Are we together? And it's also showing me my username, solkayona/HTML basics. Okay? Now, that thing is called a meta information. All right? Meta, whenever you hear meta or metadata, what it simply means is that it's an information that is actually hidden. It's more like an extra layer of information. Are we together? Example of metadata now is if you create a file, like you create a file in MS Word, okay? The only thing most of the time you are limited to seeing is just the title of that document, right? But when you right-click on that document and click on properties, you will see things like the author name, the size of the document, the date of that, the date modified, and all the rest, okay? So those informations are known as meta information. So why I'm telling us this thing is because the next thing I'm going to write, I want you to really understand what we are doing. So that HTML tag that we just wrote, it is more like it covers everything you are seeing on this place now. The next thing you are going to write is your head tag. The head tag covers this section. Look at where my arrow is going from here down to here, and all this portion now. The head tag actually, it covers this section, because inside that head tag you are going to be defining the title of your HTML document. You are as well going to be importing some scripts and probably JavaScript or CSS scripts and all the rest. Now, your HTML also has a body. If you look at this place now, let me scroll up all the way to this point. From this point, this is where the body of this web page started from. This portion now is part of the head and the menu section. All right? Now, this is where the body actually started from, or you can call it the main. Now, if you look at the bottom here, we have a footer, right? Where it's showing us GitHub logo, privacy, and all the rest, okay? So this is basically how a HTML page looks like. So why I showed us this thing now is because we are going to jump right in. Okay, so having written this HTML tag, the next tag you are supposed to learn is the head tag, like I said. After the head tag, it is followed by the body tag. And now, if you watch this convention, you see that each of these opening tags has a corresponding closing tag, right? That is the structure of how HTMLs are written, okay? So inside the head tag, you can actually do something like the title. The title tag simply gives us the title of your HTML document. We could call it HTML basics. All right, so having written HTML basics, that's the title of this document. Okay? For now, let's keep it simple. That's the only thing that we'll have there. Now, in the body, we have a couple of other tags that we can actually explore. The first tag we'll start with is the paragraph tag. I will assume that we want to add a paragraph tag. All right? Then we could this paragraph tag is just a block that allows you to write a text. Okay? So we can say this is our first paragraph. That is just, let's just keep it very basic. So this is our first paragraph. Now, if you save this file, if you save this file and open it up on your Chrome, it will show you, it will display, this is our first paragraph. All right, so, you're welcome, sir. So let me click on Go Live. Go Live allows me to use a live server so that I don't have to be refreshing all the time. All right, so we can see that we have this text. This is our first paragraph. Now, there's something you need to understand. The web browser is what interprets HTML documents. The web browser interprets a HTML document in the sense that all those tags they are writing, the web browser will not display it. Are we together? The web browser will not display it. Rather, it will rather interpret that document and display it how it's supposed to display it. Are we together? All right, so we just learned another tag called the paragraph tag. Okay, so the next tag we are going to learn is the heading tag, which is the H1 to H6. All right, so this is another tag. It is used for headings, for writing headings. Okay, so we could call it heading 1. Okay, so we are going to make it H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. All right, by the time I'll switch back to my Chrome, you'll discover that these things will be rendered differently. H1 has the highest importance, so it will have the highest size, followed by H2, H3. As it is increasing in H1, H2, the sizes are actually reducing. Okay, so let's go back to our web page. Okay, so what's going on here? Is my server still on? Okay. This is interesting. Okay. I am refreshing, but it's not showing what I did actually. So let me kind of find out what I have. Okay, you know what? Fine and good. Let's find out what the problem is and why it's not showing us what we have, basically. All right. So let's be sure that our browser is actually showing what we have here. I've removed what I have in this body tag. Let me go back and refresh that thing to be sure that we are not being deceived by our browser. So you can see that actually we are being deceived by our browser. It's not displaying what we have in that file. I don't know if you understand. I've actually removed what is in the body, but it's still, so there is an issue. The issue here is that my browser has cached what I have previously, and it's no longer showing me what it's supposed to show me. The next thing I actually wrote out. So what I will do is I'll clear my cache. Okay, now I could actually do Ctrl-Shift-R. So thank you. Let me do Ctrl-Shift-R, and even my Ctrl-Shift-R is not even working. Okay, that's interesting. No? Anyways, let me just install an extension called Live Server. Okay. Let me go live again. I don't know which one did I use the last time. Okay, so I think I would rather use this live server. Okay, so let's put back what we had previously. And let me refresh. Oh, ahala. There is serious issue here. Our browser has refused to display what we have in our HTML file. That's quite interesting. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's open the file directly. And it still refuses to show. Okay, fine and good. Let me create another file. You said? Yeah, it's actually on autosave, but let me save again. Oh, probably, maybe it was not, okay, let me check. Let me check if it will display. Oh, all right. I thought I was on my Ubuntu because on my Linux, I don't need to be saving. So, in fact, let me just put it on autosave so that I don't. I thought I was on autosave actually. So, all right, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I didn't know that I did not save my file. So if I don't if I don't save the changes, there's no how it's meant to reflect. So thank you, Nico, for that. Thank you very much. So we can see that the different heading tags, you can see that this is your H1, this is your H2, this is your H3, this is your H4, H5, and H6. Let me make it much more descriptive. This is supposed to be H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6. All right. So you can see. All right, that's another HTML tag that you would be learning. Okay. So the next tag that you will be learning is the list tag. All right. So if you want to list out a couple of things, all right, we have what we call the ordered list and the unordered list. Okay. So you have the unordered list as UL. Okay. So you have the list tag, the unordered list as UL, and the unordered list takes a child element known as the list items. Okay, so this thing is just used for making lists. So let's just make a list of laptop models. All right, so we have HP laptops, right? Or rather, let's just make it easy. Let's make a list of all the tracks that is being taught in this program. We have software development, right? We have graphics design. We have digital marketing. What else do we have? And what else? Oh yeah, data science. We also have web design. All right. So I still need to press my Ctrl S. And where is that my live server? This is not the live server. Okay, cool. All right, so you can see it made a list of all those items that I had. And now it's representing them with these bullets. Can we see? They are all listed out with bullets. Okay, so it's called an unordered list. Now, if you wrap it around with ordered list, so let's make an ordered list of these same items. If I copy this and I come order this unordered list, and I change this U to O for ordered list. For ordered list, okay? And all right, so you can see it has shown the ordered list from 1 to 6. Now, it's called ordered list because by default it will name it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all the rest. But this is an ordered list, so it will represent it with the bullet type. This bullet type. You can actually change how it represents it. Probably you may not need this bullet, this type of bullet. It could be a square or something else. You also have the ability to change it using what we call CSS. But by default, once you use the unordered list items, the unordered list tag and the list items, it will list them out with this bullet points. All right. So this is how it looks like. And okay, the next tag we are going to learn is the anchor tag. Okay, that's the A tag. Okay, so the A tag is written like this. Now, this is the index page, which is like the home page. Let's make, okay, so this is like the home page. we are going to make another anchor tag and call it like the about section. Now, if you go to a typical landing page now, you usually see something like home, about, contact, and all the rest, right? Exactly. So you use anchor tags to do that. And now, okay, that's that. There is more to it, but for now, just know that you use the anchor tag to do that, all right? Now, the next tag we are going to learn is the image tag. If you want to insert an image to your HTML, you use the img, the image tag, all right? Okay, so now the image tag is a self-closing tag. I called it self-closing tag. The image tag does not have a closing tag. You don't write it like this. You don't write it this way. Are we together? You can see that it highlighted that thing in red, right? Telling you that this is not a valid HTML tag. The image tag is one of the self-closing tags. We have other tags too that are self-closing tags. Okay? So the image tag is one of them. Okay, fine. Now, for now, let's just leave it there. But then this image tag is not complete. There is what we call attributes. So I want to mention that attribute by the time I'm done showing us the basic HTML tags that I need to show us. Are we together? So that we take it one step at a time. Okay. So, first of all, anyways, let's look at what we have from our... So we have a home and an about here. Okay? So let's just add another paragraph to this thing. Let's say we want to add a paragraph. I just added a paragraph with some dummy text. If I go back, okay, so I can see that I have a paragraph here with some dummy text. So let me use like, let me just give it a H3 and call it lorem ipsum as the heading of this paragraph. Okay, fine. So you can see that if I display it, it's showing lorem ipsum to be bold, right? And it also has a margin to the bottom. There is a space between this lorem ipsum and this particular body, this content, all right? So there is a space between the two. So by default, when you use those H tags, H1, H2, H3, H3, H4, and the rest, it gives a default margin, all right? I hope you understand what I mean by margin. Space, exactly. Space around the text is that margin, okay? So that's that. Now, there is one thing about HTML. See, watch. If you want to create a line break, if I do this now, watch. If I do this, automatically I added an empty space here, right? I added an empty space here. But in HTML, it does not recognize this thing. It will treat it as one paragraph. The space you put here is nothing. It's not significant. Are we together? Exactly. So the space that you put here is not in any way significant. If you go back to your web browser, it still shows it as one single line of text. So by default, your web browser slices out white spaces or empty spaces in your HTML document. Are we together? Now, if you actually want to achieve, if you really want to achieve that line break, use what we call a break tag. So the break tag is also another self-closing tag. You just write it like this, BR as in break. Okay, so once I put it, you can see that, you will see that if I go back to my Chrome, it would have inserted a paragraph after this elite. Now let me show us. Do you see? This text did not continue immediately after that dot, right? Mind you, it is not because there is a paragraph here. If I carry it back to that place, you will still discover that the same way it is, that's how it is. Now, if I remove this break tag now, if I should remove this break tag and go back, you can see that it has joined back to the same line. So that's what that break tag does. Okay, so another thing is there is this tag called horizontal HR tag, more like a ruler or a line at the bottom. So once you use it, it will automatically give you a line at the bottom, more like a kind of separation. Most times when you may want to use something like this is if you are building a nav bar. If you are building a nav bar, you may want to have a line in between just to separate the menu from your body. Okay? Are we together? All right. So the next HTML tag we are going to learn, okay, we should have actually learned that is the link tag. The link tag. Now, this link tag comes with a couple of attributes. Okay? It's also a self-closing tag. Like you see, I did like this, and it is shining red here, meaning that it's not supposed to be like that. It is used for linking. Okay? It's used for linking external files to your HTML document. By the time we start learning CSS, because we'll learn CSS tomorrow. So when we start learning CSS, you discover that you have to import your CSS file, that's your external file sheet. You have to import it into your document for it to be able to show. Okay, so you'll be needing the link tag, and it takes properties or attributes such as rel. This rel means relationship, and it also takes a href, which refers to the location of the file or the script that you want to introduce. Another tag you will also learn is the script tag. This script tag now is used to import JavaScript. So it's basically a script tag that you use for importing your external JavaScript. All right. It's also used for writing JavaScript functions. Okay. So with this script tag, you can also use it to write your JavaScript. So another tag you will also encounter is the meta tag. All right. So you will also encounter a meta tag. All right. So this meta tag now, you can as well see that it's also a self-closing tag. It is used for providing metadata about your document. All right. So I've said you encounter the meta tag, the title tag, the link tag, the script tag, the heading tags. We've looked at the unordered list tags. We've also looked at the ordered list tags. We've looked at the anchor tags. We've as well looked at the image tags, IMG tags. Okay? These IMG tags are used for inserting images. We've looked at the paragraph tags. We've also looked at the break tags and the horizontal row tags. Fine and good. Now, we are almost coming to the end of HTML. So you can see that one day is enough for you to actually learn HTML. It's not a big deal. It's just about all this stuff you are seeing there. What will now determine how much you make out of it is the time you dedicate to it and writing it. Okay? But if it's for learning it, you can actually learn HTML in one day. In fact, in a matter of hours, you can learn HTML, which we are already learning. So the next tag we are going to learn is input tag. There is a way to actually know if a tag is a self-closing tag or a normal tag. Whenever you write the other part of it, it will shine red, displaying that input tag is a self-closing tag. Better take note, because I might ask you this thing in this week's assessment as well, because I will always give you a weekly assessment to verify how much you understood what you've been taught. Okay, so input tag is also a self-closing tag. All right, having done that, now we can't proceed any further without mentioning HTML attributes. Are we together? Nice. Now, HTML attributes are what defines a HTML tag. It adds extra information or details about that particular tag. Okay? Just like the HTML tag itself, it can actually accept one attribute. One of the attributes it can accept is the lang attribute. And this lang stands for language. All right? So this lang attribute stands for language. What it does is it actually helps. There's what we call screen readers too. If you are browsing on the web sometimes, technology has made it possible that for blind people can actually use the internet. When they open your website, it will be reading it out for them, what they have there, so that they can easily navigate around your website. So this attribute lang tells your web browser that your HTML document is written in English. Okay? So meaning that basically what you will be seeing both in the body, in the buttons and everything are English. So you'll be basically seeing English there. All right. So okay, let's move over to the anchor tag. The anchor tag accepts one compulsory attribute. Remember, I told us that HTML attributes they define a HTML element, right? A HTML tag, and it gives extra layer of information to that tag. Are we together? HTML attributes gives an extra layer of information to that tag. All right, so let's give it a href. I'm going to give it about.html. Okay. Now, what this href means is, okay. Okay, the link itself. This link, right? This link is a different HTML tag on its own. All right? It's a different HTML tag on its own. As you can see, it also have the href attributes. Okay? Now, remember, I told you the href attribute, what it does. Okay, I've not even mentioned it, but what this href attribute does is it gives you, okay, look at it. Oh, I think, look at what it does. This attribute specifies the URL of a linked resource. Okay? A URL can be either absolute or relative. Are we together? Now, take note on your books. You tell me the difference between an absolute URL and a relative URL. Please write it down. It's part of what you research today. You tell me the difference between an absolute and a relative URL. But meanwhile, I'll be using a relative URL. Why? Why I'll be using a relative URL is because the files that I'm going to be referencing. Meanwhile, this href, I think what it means is hypertext reference. Okay? We are referencing something. So the files I'm going to be referencing, I'll be using a relative part because they are in the same work directory. That is, they are all in the same folder. Are we together? Are we together? Exactly. So I'm going to be using a relative URL because they are in the same folder. Assuming I want to use something that is not within that folder, probably something that is elsewhere, maybe in the internet, I'll have to use an absolute URL, okay? Where my URL will start with https :://, okay? That is what I'll have to use, an absolute URL. But because what I have is in the same folder or folder structure, I will just use a relative URL. So I wrote here href about.html. Okay, so I should have actually given it to this one, href about.html, and this is just home.html. Okay, but currently we don't have an about.html, so let's quickly create an about.html. I'll just create an about.html. Remember, what this line of code means is that when I click on about, let it take me to this file called about.html. Are we together? Are we together? If you click on Google and search for something, it will give you a list of websites, right? Those websites are hyperlinks. All right? They are hyperlinks. When you click on them, it takes you to that website. Are we together? So that's basically what it is. And how you create those hyperlinks are using the anchor tags, the A tags, with a href attribute. Okay? If the anchor element has an href attribute, then it represents a hyperlink. Okay? A hypertext anchor labeled by its content. So thank God that even VS Code is helping us out to learn it better, or to explain our concepts better. So in this about.html, I will just quickly attach a HTML boilerplate. So you can see this is another attribute, character set, UTF-8. You don't need to bother so much about this. This is another attribute, name and content. Okay? You don't really need to bother so much about it. Okay? So let me just create a nav, and I have, okay, href home.html. Okay, so this is my home page, and I'll create a href about. So I'll still have about.html. Okay, so basically now, if I go back to my web browser, okay, look at, it has become a hypertext, a hyperlink actually, like I said. It is a clickable link. Okay, so no problem, it's telling me home.html. Let me click on about.html. So you can see that when I clicked on about.html, it took me to a web page where I have about.html. Look at it here. This is the title. Here is written about.html. Okay, you can't actually see it there, but what I just highlighted here is known as about.html. If I click on home, it will take me, all right, it's telling me that there is no home.html. Oh, okay. The reason is because this thing is called index.html, right? And not home.html. So all I need to do is I'll change it from home to index. I'll go back to this, my index, and change it to index. So if I go back to this place and rename, refresh rather, go back. If I click on home, it will why is it still telling me there is no home.html? Do we still have home.html anywhere? Have I not saved? What's the problem of this thing? I've saved. So let me refresh. Let me go back to. So you can see it's behaving well now. When I clicked on that link, it took me back to home.html. When I click on about, it brings me back to about. Okay, so all right. So that's that. Let me. All right. So as well give it, this is the about section. Let's give it a H3 as well. So basically what I'm doing is I just created a mini about.html we have a nav section and the body section, that's the main section, and the footer section. Okay, let me just do something like copyright 2025 HTML basics 2025. So this is just a typical about.html. Look at what we have here. This is the about section with a body. This is the nav section where we can navigate about. This is home, and this is about. This is that H3 that we inserted, and this is the body. This is the footer. Okay. So do you have any questions? So far, do we have any question? It's quite simple, right? Eh? Did you say no? So, do you have questions? You can ask. The what? No, you mustn't follow it that way. But there are specific things that you must follow in a certain way. But so far, everything I'm writing there, it must not be like that. But there are things that are compulsory and how you have to follow them. Those compulsory things are the doc type. Are we together? The HTML tag, which I told you is the root element. Okay. After your HTML, you have to have the head tag. Okay. The head tag, inside the head tag, you must have a title tag. Alright? Now, after your head tag, you now have a body tag. The body tag is very much compulsory because it is what you have in the body tag that will be displayed. Okay? So after your body tag, you can now begin to write any other HTML tag the way you wish to write them. Are we together? So you must not follow this pattern that I just did. Okay? Nice. So, does anybody have another question?
So, after the body tag, this main tag should be inside the body tag, right?
Yes, yes. What I did there is called semantic HTML. Look at what I did there is called semantic HTML. What it simply means is I am following a laid down standard or approach. Okay? I'm trying to say that anything I have within this section is my navigation section. Your navigation section is where you have your nav bars. All right, just like on GitHub, we have a navigation section on GitHub. Here now, look at this. If I click on this thing, did you see it brought out a sidebar? This is called your nav now. This is your side nav. Okay, I can as well close it. So it's your navigation section. So by semantic HTML, this thing is written within the nav section. Okay? All these stuffs are written within the nav section. Now this body, this part, the rest of the document could actually be written inside a main tag. Alright? Why this place now is written inside a footer tag? Because this is your footer. Are we together? Alright. So that's what it means.
After the starter, that's the add symbol, the copy. Is it right?
Okay. This ampersand copy colon. This is how to reflect that copy on your HTML, on your web browser rather. Okay, if you want to display copy, that's how you display it. It's called a special character. Okay. So there are different codes for different special characters. For now, I just use this ampersand copy. Character entity representing, you can see it here. Its Unicode equivalent is U plus 00A9. So this stuff is just for me to show that ampersand and that copy symbol. All right. Yeah. So that's how. There are other ones too, but at least for now, this is just a very basic one for a footer. Okay. Okay. So let's go back to our index.html. Now the image tag has an attribute. Like I told us, the image tag is not yet complete. It has an attribute source. Okay? This source is also like this src is called the source. Is also like that href, but this time around it's just telling us the location of the image. All right? Fine. So if you introduce that image tag, you need to give it a source attribute. That source attribute will specify the location of the image. So what I'm going to do is I'll drag an image into this place, into this folder. Let me look for, into this HTML basics folder. I'll just look for an image there and drag it into there. Okay. Let me just drag in something like this. All right, so I have an image there. I will rename it to make it easier. I could just call it image 1. All right, so I could just call it image 1, and it's a PNG file. So I'm going to insert this image in my document, in my HTML document. So you can see we have an image1.png. I'll just type here image1.png. So you can see that it found it. I'm using a relative URL. If I go back to my live server, fine. So look at it. We have an image1.png, but it's actually covering the entire document. Even if except I minimize to 0. Okay, it's only 25%. Now look at, you can see this. So it's actually showing this stuff now. But then it's good that when we inserted it, you can see that the image by default is big, is large, right? So we have a way of determining the size of our image. Okay, so it will bring us to the width and height attributes of the image tag. So you can actually determine the width of this image. Okay, so and you do that in pixels. The unit of measurement. All right, are we listening up? The unit of measurement in, as long as you are doing computing, is pixels. That's the unit of measurement. If you are doing graphics design, most times you are also working with pixels, okay? So pixels is used for fonts, they are used for icons, they are used for images in web development. You make use of pixels. You are not using inches or centimeter or feet. Are we together? So it uses pixels, right? Picture element. So we can give it a width of 300 and a height of, okay, that stuff is actually a landscape image, right? So let's give it a height of 250 pixel and 300 pixel. So pixels is written in px. All right, so all right, fine. Do you see? I've automatically succeeded in resizing this image. It's no longer as large as it was. All right, so that is one of the things you can actually do. I gave it a width and height attribute. There is also another attribute for the image tag. That's the alt attribute. Now, this alt attribute is what will display just in case it does not find the image itself. All right. if your web page is loading and you have an image in that web page, let's say for instance something happens and it cannot find that image, the alt attribute is what it will show. So this alt attribute, I could just write it POS image. Alright, I'll just write POS image, and now instead of this image 1, I'll rename it to be something else. I'll rename it to be image_1. So you can see that by default now it's not supposed to find this image, right? It's not supposed to find this image because we don't have an image 1 anymore. What we now have is an image_1. Are we together? So let's see if it's going to find it. Fine. Do you see that it didn't find it, right? Rather it's showing what? POS image. So that alt attribute is actually compulsory for an image tag. You need to specify the alt attribute just so that, just in case someone's internet is slow or something happened, you get, so it should be able to kind of show you an alternative for that image. So let's just put an underscore here. If we put an underscore, it comes back. Alright, so we can see that we just inserted an image. So that's how you insert an image. So the next you said? Yes, now this is POS image. So this, I've given it a mini description. Look at it here, POS image. You get? It's just like a name for that thing, for that POS. All right. So let's head down to the input tag. Now, just like the image tag, the input tag is not complete without the attributes. Okay. So we have a couple of attributes for the input tag. We have a type of, we have the type attribute. Okay. The type attribute, let's just type it here. We have type. Now, I need to take note of how this thing goes actually. Attributes are written, please take note, attributes are written inside the tags, inside the opening tags, okay? That's for opening and closing tags. If you have a tag that is opening and closing, the attributes are written in the opening section of the tag, okay? Another thing is the attributes are written immediately after the name of that element. You understand? So if you watch the convention here, when I introduce this source, this is the first attribute, right? It came within the first section. So it came after, what is this? It came after this image tag. Remember that this image tag is the main keyword for the tag, img, okay? So this sruc is the attribute. So it came after the main keyword for that tag. And as you can see, I did not write it together like this. I gave a space before writing it. So that's the convention. If you do it this way, you will get it correctly. But if you don't do it this way, you may not get it correctly and you'll be faced with errors. So we have an input type of text. Okay. We can also have an input. We can as well have an input type of submit. Okay. All right. We can also have an input type of submit. We can have an input type of email. Just in case you want to, we can as well have an input type of password. All right. Now watch. You can see that the keyword type here. Now how you write an attribute is you write the name of the attribute equal to and then the value. All right. Please take note. This is the syntax for writing an attribute. You write the name of the attribute followed by an equal to and then the value. Like this. Attribute name equal to value. All right. That's the convention. Just in case. These things are very important. They are fundamental for you to understand. You write the name of the attribute followed by an equal to and followed by a quotation mark. That's actually how you do it. So you can see that we have an input type of text, an input type of email, an input type of password, and an input type of submit. Okay? So each of these input tags are self-closing tags. You can actually put a forward slash before the closing angle bracket, or you could just remove it for simplicity's sake. Just remove it like this. So if I write here value submit, okay, so it has a submit. Now this input type of text, email, password, and submit, let's look at what they look like. And I'm sure you would have seen them in your web browsers, right? In different websites you've visited. Let's say you want to create an account, right? You would have seen a form now where it will ask you to. So the first one is what, Seth? Text, right? The next one is email, and the next one is password. So let's just type, maybe this text is like my name. My name is Solomon Ajule, and this is my email, and I want to write a password. So you can see that as I'm typing this thing, by default it is adding this ... for security purposes, right? Exactly. So the actual input type for a password should be given a type of password. Now you can see that these things now, I don't even know what I'm supposed to put here. So you don't know which one is which. It's not how it's supposed to be. So you are supposed to give it a label. Okay? So you use the label tag. You give it a label. All right. So I could have here name. I could just say full name. So I could have your email. I could as well have your password. Alright, so I think those are enough. Let's come down. So you can see that it's showing me full name, email, password, and all the rest. So all these things are on the same line. Okay? All these things are written on the same line. By default, in HTML, there are what we call inline elements and block elements. Please take note of that. There are what we call inline elements and block elements. Inline elements are those elements that no matter how you put them, they will always appear on the same line. Are we together? Examples of inline elements are your anchor elements, the A tag. Okay, it's an inline element. Another example of an inline element is your label, just like we had there. Your input tag as well is an inline element. Are we together? They are inline elements. Another one is span tag. Span, S-P-A-N. It's also an example of an inline element. What that thing simply means is that if you write them, they will stack together on the same row. They don't by default go to the next line. Are we together? That's what it's called. They are inline elements. So I don't want these things to be on the same line. What I can do, I taught us how to use the break tag, right? So I could just insert a break tag here to break it down to the next line, and insert another break tag here. And then the final break tag here. Alright, so fine. So you can see they are no longer on the same line, right? Exactly. And now I can now put my name, my email, and my password, and I can click on submit. Alright, so let's assume we are creating a form. Let's assume it's actually a form that we are building. Now, you need to wrap these things in a form tag. That is what will tell your HTML that this is actually a form. Okay? So the parent tag for these tags is called the form tag. So you need to wrap it around a form tag. The form tag is just like the name implies form tag. Then you now wrap these ones around the form tag. Alright, so the form tag actually has an attribute known as action. Alright, so this action attribute is telling, now when we go to the back end aspect of it, when we start writing Python, this is where you write the URL or the view. That is where you want this your form to be submitted to. Are we together? Exactly. So the form tag also have another attribute known as method. Okay? It could be a post, it could be a get. Alright? So these are the two compulsory attributes of a form tag. It has the action attribute, it also has the method attribute that determines the method of your request. If you are making a get request or a post request or a put request or a delete request. Are we together? I know it's a whole lot to digest, right? You see, this is just the reason why I know that by default this is how most of you will. I already envisaged that today's class is going to be like this. That is why I always give out those links beforehand so that you do your assignments. When I mean doing your assignments is if you look at those links, when you read or you watch those videos, it helps to give you a background understanding of what we are coming to do. If you don't do it like that, we will not move forward. Are we together? Just coming with your head blank is not enough. You should at least understand have an insight of what you are coming to learn. It will help you to appreciate it better. Okay? If we say, let me do one, and then you will do one, I'll do two, you will do two, we will never go today. Do you understand? So that's why it is good. If I give you a link, if I give you a course material, read it, watch it. Watch, and these W3 schools now, I told us to create an account with W3 schools. I don't know how many of you did that. If you guys did, then fine and good. It's actually very good. This was the video I expected you guys to watch. It's about 22 of it. It's about 22 of them. But now, the cool thing about it is that most of them are 2 minutes videos. So you could have easily watched it with your phone to really understand what's going on. Alright? So like here we are now, we are in the HTML forms. This is just a, oops. Now just look at how descriptive this video is.
this one, the burger. Input type checkbox displays a checkbox. It lets a user select many options from a number of choices. Check, check, check. I'll have all of those on my juicy burger. There are many more input types you can use. Here's a quick list. In addition to the input element, there are several other elements we can use in forms. The select element defines a drop-down list. It's a partially hidden list that drops down with a list of options that you can choose from. I'll pick this up at 5 o'clock. The text area element defines a multi-line input field, where the user can input text with more than just a few words, like a comment field. I would like my burger super well done. Finally, let's add a submit button so Bill can send in his order. Input type submit defines a submit button. I'm so hungry! When submitting a form, the user input is sent to a file on a server for processing. To become a form expert, take a deeper dive into forms at w3schools.com.
Alright, so you can see how very descriptive this video is, right? Now, no matter, even if you were a newbie, or even if you don't have any idea about coding or whatever, you can see how very much descriptive this video is. And that's how all of those videos are. It actually helps you to really understand what we are doing. Now, I need to point out something. The goal should not really be to... Now, as you are still starting off writing these things, they are very new concepts, you understand? It will really take time before you kind of start remembering how to write them without referencing a document, right? But the goal is not for you to just have it in your head immediately. The goal is just for you to understand, okay, I want to insert a link. This is the link I'm supposed The navigation, okay. So let me show us what I mean. Remember this one, this my folder, this my Git folder is called HTML basics, right? So far I just have an index.html and an about.html. I'm expecting you to add a contact.html and as well as a blog.html, right? Are we together? Now in the index.html, inside this your body tag, I need you to have either a H1 or a H2 or a H3 that will say something like, this is my store, okay? Or welcome to Araura's collections, or welcome to whatever store, all right? Then followed by a short description of your store. It can be something like, find the best collections of Italian shoes from my website, okay? Now after that, there should be an image. It should be followed by an image tag. So let me list out the order. Let me list out the order. Now once you have the body tag, the next thing I expect to see in your code is the nav section. The nav section. Now this nav section should have these 4 anchor tags. It should have the home, the about, it should have the contacts, right? And it should as well have the blog section. Okay. Now after the nav tag, the next tag I want to see, remember we are working with semantic HTML. I want to see the main tag, and then followed by a footer tag. It will end with a footer tag. All right. So inside your main tag now, this is where you have something like H3. Welcome to my Raura's collections. Okay. Then I could have a paragraph that says we offer the best collections of Italian shoes. Okay. Followed by an image. I want to have an image with a source of maybe Italian shoes.png or .jpeg or .whatever, with an alt attribute of Italian shoes. All right. Okay. So that's that. Now you have a product section, probably a H4 that says product. Now you will list out, I need you to list out all your products, you know, that you use. You can decide to use an unordered list and say with your list items, let's say sneakers. You can as well list any number of products you want. Boots. You can as well list flip-flops. Now I chose a shoe collection. You are free to choose whatever you want. Just build the project as it attests to your, as it satisfies your taste. Okay. Then inside the footer section, I need you to have a copy of copyright Solomon 2025. Then you can put your own name, okay? That shows that this thing is peculiarly to you. All right. So this is a skeleton of what I need your homepage to be like. This is the nav section, okay, with your different links to navigate you to different pages of your website. Now the main section, you should have the heading part where it tells us this is the heading. Okay, it should have a short introduction, then an image tag, Okay, you should have a product section where you now give us a list of all your products. Okay, you give us a list of all your products. Fine. So that's okay. Yeah, that's nice. I thought of that. It's actually possible. You can put the image of the sneakers, right? That's what you're asking. You could just put an image tag inside here and then put the image, the link of the image, okay? It will show alongside as it's listing them out for you. All right, so that's that for the index section. Now in the about section, the about section should just be, it should just have a heading and then a paragraph text of what that your page is all about. That's just what it should be. It should just be a basic, just like I had a lorem ipsum blah 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 on my own about section. When I clicked on the okay, when I clicked on the about section here, this should just be how your about section should be. You should have a title, Araras collections, we offer the best collections, we have done blah 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 blah. But let it be something reasonable. Compose something reasonable for the about section. Okay? And now for the contact section. The contact section, that is where you are going to make use of the inputs. Alright, so the contact section should consist of a form. Alright, the contact section should consist of a form. Now, mind you, each of these sections should have your nav, your main, and your footer. So basically what will be changing is the content of the main section. Are we together? Do you understand? Yeah, the about section should have the nav, the main, and the footer. Okay? The contact section should as well have the nav, the main, and the footer. It's important because if you are in the about section, you may want to go back to the home section. So there should be a link for you to do that. You get? So that's why all of them should have both the distance, the nav, the main, and so I said the contact section should have the input tags. Okay? It should be, you want to collect information from your customers. You understand? So you are at liberty to choose those information. It can be the name, the email, it can be the username, the email, their preferences. Okay? The list of products that they want. There is an input type from that video we saw it. We have an input type of checkboxes. We have an input type of checkbox. Let me put a form tag and an input type of radio. Yeah, we are done. I understand.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's just put an input type of type radio and value Gucci. Let me go back to my home tag. Okay, so we also have the select and option, the select and options tag. Okay, you can have like Gucci, could have like I don't know, Adidas. Okay, so this select and options now gives you a kind of drop down where when you click on it, it will ask you whether you want to select a Gucci or you want to select an Adidas. Okay, so whereas that select type of radio, it helps you to select just one out of many. We also have a select type of checkbox. Okay, now anytime you want to use any of these things and let's say you are not really sure about them, you are not so sure about how each of them works. Okay, let's find from here if we can see the HTML forms. All right. Okay, fine. Look at it here. We have the HTML forms, and we want to find out how to use each of these forms. Any of them. I don't know. It's like my network is out. It's not even showing. It's showing red. Okay. So the input types as well. Like what I'm trying to say is, assuming you want to use a particular form and you are not sure of how to do that, just come to this website and look for that section. This is the form section. I want to use the radio button, the type of radio button. Okay, I want to use that. You come to this place and look for it. I want to use a type of checkbox. You come to this place and look for it. All right. So that is what I want you to do that's in the contact form, right? You are taking the informations of your user, the full name, the email, maybe the category of product that they love, and the price. So it should just be a form with a submit button for the contact page. All right? Nice. Now, the last page, which is the blog section. So you could just have something like leave a comment. Are we together? Leave a comment. And that section, the blog section, should as well contain, let's say, like, if you want to get a comment from a user, at least it should have the user's username, right? So you should collect like a username and then the comments. Now for that comment, you use the input type of text area. Okay? That is the input type that you use, text area. It's actually different from the normal text. When you do an input type of text area, it's different from this input type text area is different from an input type of ordinary text, in the sense that the text area is usually larger than that of the normal text. All right, so let's see. Okay, so you can see that this is how a text area actually looks like. It's resizable, it's draggable, it's larger than that of an input type of text, of an ordinary text. All right, so this is just what I want you to have on your blog section. Just you can have a title of leave a comment behind, or suggest ways of improving our website. You could just have something like suggest ways to improve our website. Basically, I want you to collect the user's name and then a box where you have a comment box, all right? And it should also have a submit button, an input type of submit, all right? So that's all for the assignment. Do you have any question as regards to the assignment? Hello? I'm asking now, do we have any question as regards the assignment? Maybe any section that we don't fully understand? Are we going to do the assignment? No. So finally, I'm going to git add push and let me go back to my bash terminal. All right, if I do ls, I can see that I have an about.html, image1.png, and index.html. I don't know if my network is working, so it might work. So I will just do a git add all, git commit added an index and about page, git push. I'll just do a git push. Unable to access this website. Why? Because my network is not working. I just did a git push. It doesn't want to go. My network is shining red, so it cannot commit. Assuming there was network, I should have just done git push and it will push to that. Oops. Okay. I don't know if it wants to push. So that's the end of the class. We said we don't have any questions. No questions at all. All right. I was able to import the image. I just copied the actual image and I placed it in that folder. Not the look at the image here. This is the actual image. Do you get it? From my Visual Studio Code. Okay, the thing is, you see this folder HTML basics, okay? You look at it as your project folder, all right? So all your files, all those files you want to use for that project, you need to bring them into this folder. You get the Okay, is it directly from VS Code? Yes. Okay. Basically, I think what you should be able to do is, I can't find, okay, I'm seeing open a file, but that's not what you want to do. The best way to do is just copy those images and put it inside that folder. Okay, I don't think there is an option for you to just do it directly from VS Code, or you can use your terminal and do it, but it's best just copy those files, those folder, those images, copy those images and put it in that your work project folder. All right, that's the best approach to go with it. Are we together? It's your project folder. So you want everything to be together. You shouldn't have your images scattered in different places. You get? So just bring all the images together and then link them into your web pages. The task I gave us, is it too difficult? It's not a weekend task, it's a day task. Yeah.
So, I think that's our main, that's our main branch, right?
Yeah, it's the main branch. You can see now it's written here, main. A question based on that. I did a git push, not git-u, right? Git push-u, because it's the main branch. I did not create any branch. I'm working directly on the main branch. So all I just need to do is a git push, and it will push to down my repository. Fine. It has done that. It has pushed, actually. I think there's a little network now. Though it's still pushing it. Writing objects 3/5. It's not done yet. Okay. So I ask again, the task, is it so difficult that we cannot attempt it? Is it so difficult that we cannot attempt it? Are you saying, yes, it is difficult, that you will not attempt it? You can use your phone and attempt it. How you do that is you download a text editor there is a text editor called Tubo Editor. It allows you to write HTML files. You can actually use your phone to do it. If you have, that's why I said you should, a system is actually compulsory for you to be able to do this. Now, alternatively, you can, okay, it has pushed. Alternatively, if you really understand what you are supposed to do, you can come here earlier tomorrow and do it. I don't know how the schedules of tomorrow is, but I think there will be space for you to make use of the system. What I need you to do, I need you to do this thing. If you are able to do this task this night, I bet you that you will appreciate what you just learned today. But if you say that it is difficult, that you will not do it, then there is no point. We are not making progress. So just try your best and find a means to do it. There has to be a way. I believe the goal why you enrolled for this program is to learn this thing, right? Learning is difficult. When you are learning something, it's not always fun. It's not always fun. Especially when it's this one self. It's not like it's graphics where you are doing drag and drop and you are seeing it as you are doing it. No. This one has a lot of intricacies and it's not for the weak. I have to repeat it. It's not for the weak. But you can always give it your best shot and you will survive. You will pull through. I know that we have female software engineers actually. We do. So if you're a woman, don't be discouraged. You can do it. All right. So that will be all for today's class. Thank you very much for your audience. In the absence of no other question, we'll call it a day for today. Thank you so much, and God bless you. If you want to type a HTML document, okay, writing it on a notepad, right? Yeah, that notepad is just equivalent to this your Visual Studio Code. Okay? It said, what is mentioned is that Notepad is a very basic text editor to start with, just in case you don't have Visual Studio Code or Sublime Text or any other editor. Okay? You can just easily start with Notepad, then save it as a .html file, and then set the character encoding to UTF-8. All right? Once you do that, double-click on that file. It automatically opens with Google Chrome or Mozilla or Firefox or whatever. Now, whatever you now type inside that notepad, once you save and refresh that file, you see the effect of what you did. VS Code is actually nice because it makes it easier, okay? And as a web developer, you'll be using mostly VS Code. So it's best you should start with VS Code. You get? One of the good things about VS Code is that it can even complete your typing for you. You can see that if I type an opening tag and it has a closing tag, it will just suggest it immediately. Or sometimes it will put it for me. And VS Code used to highlight it, like it highlights your colors, like it gives you colors now. Like you can see here, for a text, it's showing it as orange. For an attribute, it's showing it as sky blue. And for the actual tag itself, it's showing it on a different color. So it's a way, it helps you to really appreciate what you are writing. If you are writing it only on Notepad, everything will be shining black and white. So you may be confused, and finding out your errors may be difficult. Attributes. Okay, look at it here now. The attributes, look at, this is an image tag now. Like this now, let's take for instance, this is an image tag. This is the element itself. Whenever you put an opening tag like this, be it an image tag or an anchor tag or a link tag, the first thing you type is actually your element tag, the name of your tag name, okay? The first thing you type after this opening angular bracket is your tag name, followed by whatever thing you type here. If there is, let's say like here we have rel equal to style sheet, okay? So this is how you identify an attribute. An attribute is written in this way: attribute name equal to, and then value. Are we together? So that's how an attribute is written. It's written like attribute name equal to and value. Whereas a tag itself, the HTML tag itself, you put an opening angular bracket, then the name of your tag, that's your tag name, followed by a closing angular bracket. So this is just the sequence on how you do it. You do opening angular bracket, the name of your tag, then you close it up. If you now want to insert an attribute, you write the name of the attribute equal to, and then the value. So I just remember one more assignment. So after doing that one, another research assignment I need you to do is, this one is a research assignment. Write out 20 different HTML attributes. Yes, it's very important. Write out different 20. Please, I need to see this one. Different 20 HTML attributes. You can browse it on Google anyhow, but let it be that you did it. Please. Now, I will need someone to summarize this assignment and post it in the group, just so that those people that are not here physically will as well attempt. For those who will actually attempt, because I know that some persons will see it and will still not attempt. Some persons will see it and give a blind eye. Ha kwanya, happy. It's very possible. So please, who will do that? Who will summarize this assignment and post it in the group for us? I need someone to do that. Okay. Will your phone allow you to do it? I hope you are charging it. I beg, do it though. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's all. Thank you. I thought you copied it to your flash drive. Okay, Mark. I think.
And what's the terminal?
Okay, if you are using Mac, you don't need a Git bash. The terminal of Mac is just equivalent to Git bash. You can use
No,
all
you're
those
saying something
commands.
about terminal.
Yeah.
So you know I've not tried that before. I already have a USB. Should I give it for you?
There's no problem, but what I'm trying to tell you is that when you click your command key or your Windows, that's your button now on your keyboard. If you type terminal,
Let me bring it.
are you with the Mac here? Okay, bring it now. The class has officially ended though. We can be going. Okay, you have my VS code, right?
What did you press first?
Okay. How do I search? I don't even know. I don't use Mac actually. Is it the options? Okay. So at least I can search. Nice. So, oops.
Raymond, come here.
Okay. So, cool. So you can see that Mac has. You don't need a Git bash on Mac. It's not necessary. Everything you want to do, be it PWD, get it. ls-a, all those things works here. Yes, you
I
don't.
can connect it to my
Yeah,
what did you type stamina? Because
yeah.
I saw something they were asking me to I should just copy it and paste.
This is
So I
just
was
this is the
looking for
terminal.
where to
This is the terminal. This is the terminal. If you had your this thing here, where is your Chrome or whatever, or Safari or something? This one, huh? Have you created any repository? Have you created any repository?
the ones we did last week.
Okay. Okay, so like this now, you can actually you copy comes to your terminal. Alright. You could just do something like create a project, software project. I just created this folder, software project. So I'll go into it. Get so you can just do your git clone. Okay, now it says that it doesn't have Git actually. Note no developer tools were found at this. Request install. Choose an option in the dialog box. Alright, so the Git command requires the command line developer tools. Would you like to install this tool? You click on install. Command line developer tools. That's great. to install this stuff. But the problem is I don't know if it's actually okay. Like it's installed. Continue on battery power. And then shop. Okay, okay. It's actually installing.
Come on, have fun now.
We don't do go now. We don't
What's
do
in the happen? You know, it be like saying no one go to them.
I shut down. I beg.
Shut down. Tomorrow is another day.
Ask you a question. Sorry. I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead, sir. I'm listening.
You know, when you were typing those codes, what did you copy to check it on Chrome?
To check it how?
You know, when you were building the,
Okay.
what did you
I used live server.
did we have?
You can install it. Extensions, Chrome, VS
Chrome
Code.
extension.
No, VS Code extensions.
Where's the extension? Where can I locate the extension?
Yeah, is it open your VS Code. Open your VS Code.
Can I also put Chrome?
Is there?
Except my system. Okay, there.
You type live server.
Well, can I also use the Chrome as extension of VS Code?
No, it's not necessary. You don't need it. You just install the live server.
If you check my browser, my friends are git, how to download the whole thing.
No problem. So if that stuff installs completely, you should be able to do all those things. You get on the rest.
About 86 hours.